There are three things that sell your book to a reader who's never encountered any of your writing before. They are your cover, your blurb, and what other people say about your work. Today, I want to talk about the second of these three incredibly important things, your blurb. Hi, my name is Seth. I'm a full-time fantasy author, and I like to make YouTube videos about writing-related content. If that's something that you're interested in, definitely give this video a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss the next video in this series. So last time we talked about covers, and today we are going to talk about blurbs, where the cover is that first initial impression that's going to pull somebody to your story. The blurb is the thing that hooks them. It's what, more often than not, makes them want to buy your book. So what is a blurb? Well, it's that little bit of text that's either in the jacket of the book or on the back of the book, or if you're selling on Amazon, on your Amazon seller page, that explains to the reader what they're getting themselves into. But the question is, why is a blurb so important? I thought it would be helpful to share a little bit about my experience around blurbs. When I first started publishing, I put my very first book, Nova Terra Titan, up, and I had a little bit of an audience already. And so I sent some traffic to it, and it was great. And I was very excited about this. And so I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start generating more traffic from some ads, and I'm going to send them to my page. I know my cover is good because people have commented on it already. I'm going to send all these people from these paid ads to my seller's page. They're going to buy my book. It's going to be raining money. It's going to go great. That's not how it happened. In fact, I sent a lot of traffic to that book, and I got a lot of clicks. My ad actually performed pretty well, but when they got to my seller's page, for some reason, they weren't buying. And honestly, that was kind of devastating. So I turned off the ad, and I sat there thinking to myself, what on earth is it about my book that people just don't like? About that time, somebody mentioned to me that they had read my blurb, and then they had read my book, and they had been a little bit confused. And it was like a light bulb went off. And I thought to myself, oh man, I'm sending people to this page, but I'm not actually capturing their interest. I'm not actually giving them something that is going to draw them in and is going to make them want to read my book. And so I spent some time studying how blurbs are written. Because believe it or not, writing a blurb is not like writing a story. And we'll talk about the big mistake that I made in that first initial blurb a little bit later in this video. But once I made the change, once I figured out how to write a blurb, and once I put that into practice, all of a sudden, even without sending extra traffic to my page, I saw my sales numbers tick up. And they kept getting higher and higher and higher, because the more people I would send to the page, the more people would see that blurb and be interested in reading the book, be enticed into the story that I was trying to tell. So the question is, what is it that I learned during that time that allowed me to change the fortune of that story so drastically? Well, I learned that a good blurb has three different things. First of all, it's straightforward. Second, it's snappy. And third, it's got a great hook. Now, these are actually in reverse order of importance, but I wanted to start with sort of the foundation of a blurb. And the foundation of a blurb is it's straightforward. Just like with your cover, because your book fits into a genre, or maybe even a couple of genres, the readers who are going to look at it are going to have specific expectations. And this is a great opportunity for us as authors to identify what sort of book we have written. We want to give people a taste of the tropes that they're going to run into. We want to give them a sense of the kind of story that they're going to be reading. We want to make sure that we are illustrating our writing style. You know, I remember reading a blurb once for a book that sounded hilarious, and then I opened it up, and it turned out that the blurb probably had not been written by the author, because the writing was sort of dense and drab, and the blurb was anything but. It had been sort of this fun and exciting romp, as much as a few paragraphs can be. But then I got into the book, and the writing style was completely different, and that was an immediate turnoff. So we want to be straightforward. We want to give our reader a clear sense of what they're getting themselves into. We don't want there to be any surprises. Mystery is great. Surprise, not so much. And that brings us to our second thing. We want to make our blurb snappy. What do I mean by snappy? I mean that the words should jump off of the page at us. We shouldn't be using dull language. We should be writing in a way that is evocative, that is going to communicate emotion, that is going to communicate what is interesting about the story. Now, we don't want to explain what is going to happen in the story. This is not a synopsis. We want to sell somebody into the story rather than tell them the story. Have you ever watched a movie trailer and by the end of it, you feel like you've seen the entire movie? Now, sometimes we watch movie trailers and we come away thinking, oh man, I don't even know what this is about. What we're trying to do is what a good movie trailer is trying to do. It's trying to split the difference. It's trying to give us enough of the cool stuff that we're going to see, that we're excited to see more, but not give us so much that we feel like we've just seen the entire thing. And we do that with strong, snappy language. Now, the third and final, and honestly most important piece of writing a good blurb is a good hook. However, you can't write a good hook if you don't have the snappy language to back it up, or the clear communication that is going to tell your reader what they're getting themselves into. But a good hook is going to pull them in from the very first words. Writing a good hook is a bit of an art. There isn't much science to it, because really it's just a sentence. But it's a sentence that's going to grab the reader and pull them in. You know, entire volumes have been written on the importance of a first sentence in a manuscript, and with any sales copy, the same holds true, and a blurb is sales copy. The point of a good hook is to ensure that the reader is going to continue reading through the blurb, but the reality is that if you have a good hook, often that's going to sell the book by itself. Now, I am not the best at writing hooks, but over the years, I've practiced and practiced and practiced, and I've gotten a little bit better. So I thought it'd be fun to share a couple of the hooks that I've written for some of my books. First, from Domestication, book 1 in the Battle Mage Farmer series, we have a world on the precipice of apocalypse, a secret forged in the flames of war, a chance to start over. For John Sutton, only one of these three things matters. What I was trying to do with that hook was give someone a sense of the world that they were stepping into. The world in Battle Mage Farmer is war-torn, it is dark, it is harsh, and John Sutton, the main character, is desperate to start over. However, the question looms, will he be able to? Which one of these three things is going to matter? As much as possible, you want to try to draw your reader into asking those kinds of questions. Mad Master Alchemist just came out. It is a standalone book in the Nova Terra series that deals with Alf, and the hook for that blurb reads, Alfonso Wright, expert botanist, genius chemist, recently unemployed. This one has a very different tone. It has a very different promise that it's making to the reader. But again, it's doing that all-important thing of drawing the reader in to ask a question. All right, he's an expert botanist, and he's a genius chemist, and he's recently unemployed. And as everybody knows, idle hands are the devil's playground. And so immediately the reader starts asking the question, what is he going to get up to? And that's what we want to do. Learning to write a good blurb is an art in and of itself. But if you want a shortcut for how to do it, and this is how I learned how to do it, go look at the top 10 books in your genre right now, copy down their blurbs, put them all side by side, and read them a couple of times over. Pretty soon you're going to get a sense for what your blurbs should be sounding like. And then practice, 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 practice. Listen, writing a blurb is free, but if you can do it, it can have a major impact on your effort to sell your books.